Round number 5 of the $1,000 ProtoICE Cup comes to you from Suzuka Circuit in Japan. The Suzuka International Racing Course is a 3.61 mile, 17 corner racetrack, fondly known as one of the best race circuits in the entire world. Alongside me in the booth this afternoon, I'm Will Vincent, and we've got Liam Jenkins and Marius Gollenbach. And of course, you see these drivers currently on their qualifying runs. We've got Marius in one of the sessions. We've got Liam in one of the sessions. And Marius, we'll come to you first because you've got yourselves a couple of drivers trying to go for pole today.
I have, and good evening tonight from me as well. Suzuka, classic venue here, lots of good races seen, and I'm currently in the session with Team Redline in place, Darren Marsh and Gregor Hutu, as well as the drivers from Orion, as we speak, Dion Verges and Ilkka Haapala. Currently, the fastest driver in this session, Gregor Hutu, with a 1 minute 43.049, so he's one of the quickest, of course, to be expected for the race win today. He's currently our championship leader. He's done 2 brilliant races, both on Silverstone and Road America, and currently the fastest one in this session.
And I tell you what, Mark Ronke just did a 1 minute 43.203, and by our provisional standings, that moves him up, I believe, into about 3rd place for the time being. So Ronke is just behind Hutu and Jesse Nieminen currently leading the way with a fastest lap time of 1 minute 43.006. He's tried hard, but not been able to do that since then. So we've got Liam Jenkins here as well. And Liam, guys in your server aren't going as fast, struggling to get into the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, indeed they are. Good afternoon, everybody. A real pleasure to be here. So still a few big names in my qualifying split. If you, we've got the likes of the Lopez guys. You've got Pablo Lopez and, of course, Daniel Dahl. Jeremy Boutaloop, who's currently fastest on a 1:44.2, should sit him around 8th or 9th position. So by no means is that a slow pace. But compared to everyone else in the other splits, it looks relatively slow. So it looks like the guys could be struggling for pace today.
So we think at the moment it is Jesse Nieminen at state at the time of 1 minute 43.006. So close to breaking into the 1 minute 42 barriers that we've heard and seen a couple of drivers in practice this week getting very close to. Gregor Hutu currently 2nd, as I said, with a 1 minute 43.177. And then we go to Martin Ronke. Ronke's fastest lap time, 1 minute 43.203. And then it is Riku Alatalo, we believe, who is up in the 4th position. But Marius, you've got some of the fast guys in your server, but Suzuka, one of those tracks, you've got some long straightaways. Have you seen any drivers at all trying to work together to get a bit of drafting going?
So far, it looks like it's pretty much individual driving. At least I can say that for Team Orion and Redline Racing. Gregor Hutu and Darren Marsh for Redline trying to do their individual job of getting a good lap in here. Hutu just posted another fastest lap of this session, so he's improved his time by about 1/10 here to a 1 minute 43.049. Gets him closer to Jesse Nieminen. Nieminen, however, remains in the lead with his .006. Still, that is less than half a 10th, and yeah, just a slight mistake could have costed Hutu the pole position. Nevertheless, we've got about 4 minutes to go. Gregor Hutu currently on one of his last laps there, looking very confident, but yeah, he's really have to put every sector together here to put a 42 maybe to get the pole here. And so far, you guys, any improvements on your sessions?
Jesse Nieminen is on a lap. We're currently looking at him as he comes up the Dunlop curve up the hill. Now he's going to flick it to the right into Denga number 1. He's had himself a nice lap so far. Now breaking it down into Denga number 2. So he's got the hard part of the lap out of the way through the S's. Now he just needs to flick it to the right-hand side, down into the hairpin. This is Nieminen trying to get into that 1 minute 42 barrier. And by far, he's been the fastest guy here today. But he really wants to be that driver, as we saw the momentum that it could do for Alessi Giacola in the Pro Series race earlier on today. Just being able to separate yourself by that extra little bit really can make the big difference. And Nieminen now working into the spoon curve, very close there on the outside curve as he comes out the spoon, now down into that long back straightaway. Only the 130R and the Casino Triangle left to go for him. And we've got 2 minutes 40 seconds left on the qualifying clock. And Liam, it seems like these drivers are struggling to get the laps in, but when they do, we've got some fast times coming up.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, Suzuka is one of those circuits where it's probably the most technical on the calendar and really does produce some of the most exciting racing, but because of that, there's just so much to think about in a single lap. And to get one fast lap alone is very difficult, but once you get that one good lap, then the consistency will come. It's all about just racecraft here this afternoon. Once you get that one good consistent lap in, your motivation levels skyrocket, and then you can keep going at that pace.
So it is going to be perhaps 2 more laps chance for Nieminen. He's probably only got fuel for 1 more, however. Gregor Hutu, we believe that he's only got 1 more lap that he can do as well. So Hutu stays still circulating on the racetrack, checking in with a couple of these other drivers. Timo Ethan, he's struggling a little bit today, 1 minute 44.7 for him. And Leski Aloma now into the 1 minute 43. He's done 2 laps in the 1 minute 43.8. He's struggling a little bit, but will be high up in the field. Kroenke, however, has not been able to improve on his 1 minute 43.2.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a shift in the gaps between the drivers here. So the top of the field is getting faster and faster, while the mid-pack sort of shrinks a little bit and drops back from the top. So currently the only drivers really posting low 43s or about to break into the 42s are Gregor Hutu and Jesse Nieminen. Martin Kroenke still in 3rd position with his 43.2, and then it's a bit of a drop-off. We've got several mid-43s, David Williams, Rico Latolo, people like that, and the usual mid-pack, let's say, front mid-pack runners, and then we quickly drop into the 44, and it's getting filled up right there. But these guys are already 1 second down, and as we've seen on Silverstone and Road America, as soon as you're in this kind of mid-pack group, as Gregor Hutu currently starts his last flying lap, you're going to be in a bit of an issue in the race. You're going to be stuck all the way, and any 10th improvement here could mean several positions.
And Jesse Nieminen was not able to complete that lap. He's got Miguel Atalo coming up behind him. Atalo looks like he's trying to get himself a little bit of clean air before he does his final qualifying run. In fact, I'm struggling to notice whether or not Atalo will actually make it. Nieminen is coming out of the Casino Triangle again, and he has decided not to do another lap, so he will stick with his 1 minute 43.006. Hutu's in the S's, the checkered flag is in hand, and these drivers now just got themselves 1 more lap to go. Whatever lap they're on, this is a lap that's going to count if they go faster. And Marius, how's Hutu doing?
It's hard to see. It looks really good so far, but his previous lap, the .049, has been pretty much spot on, and it's really hard to say if he's just on that lap or slightly faster or slower. However, he is still continuing that lap, currently out of the hairpin, approaching the double left-hander spoon, and that's where it's probably decided. So entering spoon here, shifting down 2 gears, shifting down another gear into the second part of spoon, all looking very nice, very controlled here on the outside. Don't get an off-track right there, and then he's off to the straight, and just 130R and the last chicane left to complete his lap, and it's looking good. It could just be that tiny bit of improvement needed for Gregor Hutu here to take the pole. 2nd position for him so far, half a tenth behind Jesse Nieminen, and as Nieminen, we've seen that has not made an improvement. It is up to Gregor Hutu now to take the pole off the curbs, out of the last turn here, and it takes the car down pit road, and it is pretty much decided. Jesse Nieminen takes the pole.
Yeah, and Martin Kroenke was on an absolute flyer of a lap there. He was looking as though he was going to smash his personal best for today, and lost it out of the Casino Triangle. Martin Kroenke, who was having a beautiful lap until that point, his chance for pole position goes up in dust. So most of these drivers now have completed their qualifying sessions. Just a couple of drivers, we're waiting to see them come past the start-finish line in each of these 3 remaining sessions. You are watching the GlacierTV ProtoICE $1,000 Cup pre-race show. And it's the same old story, guys. It's Nieminen out front, and then you've got Hutu and Kroenke right there with him. But Nieminen's found that, you know, a couple of hundredths of a second that makes a difference.
Yeah, indeed he has, and especially around Suzuka, I think that phrase is more vital than ever. And it's not just going to be across 1 lap pace, though. Being qualifying pace is all well and good. And around some circuits, if you start on pole position, then you may have a very good chance of winning the race. But with a circuit as technical as this, and as you have to think about a lot of strategy, and I think because of those 2 factors, that you're going to see a very shaky order, I think. I don't think pole sitter is going to come away with a race win by any easy means today.
And we are just collating all of these results together. It's always so confusing when we do this, but we are collating the results together to try and get ourselves the complete qualifying field for this. Of course, the first of tonight's heats, we are running heats, rounds, whatever you want to call it, number 5 and 6 here at Suzuka. For those of you who have not watched the previous 2 rounds, hello, where the hell you been the last 2 weeks? But the first race, wherever people qualify, this is where they are going to be qualifying and starting for the first race. The second, however, the second race, the top 20 drivers will be reversed. So the driver who comes home in the 20th position will be awarded first position for the second race. And Marius, we've seen this now 2 weeks in a row. Whoever gets 20th position goes on not only to get pole, but also to win the second race.
We've seen that exactly. We've seen it on Road America, for example, where a bit of a controversial move saved Jörn Jens the 20th position against, I believe it was Dion Vergis. And by saving that position, I mean, it's really the question of whether to start 21st or starting first. And there's 20 places of a difference. He was able to take the lead right away, maintain the lead throughout the race, and win the second race right ahead of Gregor Hutu. And if you manage that, you're almost in by 100% to scoring a big set of points. Of course, you need to bring the car home safe. Nevertheless, even if you drop several positions, your chances are still way better than starting way down the grid in 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. But you have to make it in the top 20.
And we've seen as well that the battle for 20th position, in fact, almost as big and as bold and as scary as the race for the lead at times. And Liam, you know, that opportunity of either being in 20th position or being in first position or being 21st, you know, these guys have got a lot to fight for.
Oh, indeed, and I think that's what makes this cup so special, is that it's not just about the guys at the front of the field, because you want to try and get to that P20, get yourself at the front of the field for the next race. It makes every position so vital in terms of your race. You normally see guys, you know, around P30 just not trying, but they'll be pushing maybe even harder than the guys fighting for a top 5 position. And especially at this stage in the championship, points mean prizes, quite literally. So if you want to make an impression on the championship, now's the time to do it.
Indeed, and of course, yeah, you're right, points do win prizes, and that's one of the fascinating parts of this, the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. When you consider all things considered, you know, Niemann has had a great run today, but could this be the day, guys, that Hutu or Kroenke or perhaps someone else comes ahead and, you know, really does make an impression in the first and, more importantly, the second race as well? Because Nieman's had it all going his own way in the second races, as far as the top 3 drivers have been concerned.
Yeah, it is only the qualifying, however. Still, we've seen Jesse Niemann struggle on Silverstone. He's been closer on Road America than on Silverstone. Definitely seemed to found some pace here for Suzuka, only by half a tenth, separating the first 2 drivers here. Also, Martin Kroenke looking very strong together with David Williams in 3rd and 4th, respectively. 143.2 for Kroenke, 143.3 for David Williams, and it's not really that far off. So we've seen bigger gaps between the top 5, and completing the top 5 there, Rico Latalo in 5th position, 143.507. Also a great result for Rico, and then we've got the first bit of a drop-off there. Ilkka Haapala top 6, being in 6th position, 43.7, and followed by Alexei Loma, 0.8. And then we've got Darren Marsh, the Team Redline driver, with the first 144, which is a 0.0. However, is already about a second off the leaders. And, well, we see that the top 8, top 7 usually are a lot quicker than the other guys. However, as soon as you get in these 44 lap times, you've got about 10 to 12 drivers doing the 44s, and then 45s quickly following. So it's not really that easy to do a 44. It's not really that easy to do a low 44. And still, the pole is 43.006, and that is a great job by Jesse Niemann.
Indeed, a great job by Niemann, and once again claiming pole position here. And when you consider, you know, the qualifying order for this race, though, you've got to immediately start considering it turn number 1. And I know Race Control have done their best to be allowing down into turn number 1, allowing the drivers to go as much off track as they need to on the outside of the course to avoid any incidents. But still, the last thing you're going to do is be involved in the first turn incident. And Silverstone was really good, but turn 1 and 2 here, Marius, especially, I know you've talked to the Mo3ID guys, can be dangerous.
It really can be, and we're not really sure about who is running which setup. Definitely, though, on cold tires, the car being a little bit more squirrely than it used to be, going into the first turn, it might just be a little jab on the brakes, and it could be enough to put you massively sideways. Still, you've got the runoff area on the left, but as that is pretty much AstroTurf called carpet, it's not really stopping your car from sliding. So as soon as you get on that, it just accelerates the sliding. And once being off the first turn, you're almost by 100% secure of losing several positions, and that's what you not need in a race start.
And when it comes down second race as well, that's going to perhaps be the critical factor. We've seen that there's been two big incidents in the what's that? Two big incidents. There's been two big moments, right, in rounds number 2 and 4, respectively, with that first field. And we expect to see those drivers using that first lap to really try and push it hard. We're going to get you live pictures from Suzuka Circuit in a couple of minutes' time, about less than that. But to run through the Suzuka racetrack, it is perhaps one of the most beautiful tracks in the world. And Liam, it's always one that always creates great racing.
Oh, indeed it has, and so many championships have been decided there in the past, and it's where just general names turn into legends, and I'm sure that we've seen, the elite sim racers are here, the likes of Hutu, the likes of Neiman, who are really charging for this championship, but it also throws up that surprise factor. There's always an underdog, someone like, for instance, Martin Kroenke, who maybe could show his nose up here today. You never know what sort of racing that Suzuka's going to produce, and that's what separates it from the other circuits on this calendar, and I wonder who potential underdog is going to be.
Indeed, we'll have live pictures in a couple of moments. Race underway in less than 5 minutes' time. You're listening and watching to round number 5 of the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. We'll be back after this. So welcome back to Suzuka for this, the first of 2 heats here tonight. These 30-minute sprint races that make up the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. We've got time to run through the rest, a bit more of the qualifying field. And as Mario said, it is Neiman leading away from Hutu, Kroenke 3rd, Williams 4th, and Atala in 5th. And then Ika Hapala will start this race in the 6th position, with Alessia Loma in 7th, Darren Martin 8th, Jeremy Bootsloop in 9th, and GoPro Pablo Lopez in the 10th position. Guys, we've got, the top 10 drivers are always very similar. Even when you look down to the 11th through 15, with Damon Jr. 11, Lopez 12, Ilbrandt 13, Schulzen 14th, and Lovett in 15th. These guys keep on coming up with the same names again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what you said there. I mean, consistency is the key here today. It's all about, if you want to do well in this championship, it's all very well having one super result. But if you have a bunch of average results following that, then you're not going to go very far in the championship. It's all about consistency. And obviously those top 10s can really go a long way. And I think with the top 5 really just trying to battle amongst them, as I said, that underdog feature could very well be apparent. But for now, I think that those consistent guys, like I said, like Paul Ebring, like Lopez, could very well show themselves in the top 10 again and pick up some great points today.
Drivers 16 through 20 is Dion Verges in 16th, Timo Ebenen in 17th, Stefano Laniotto in 18th, Anthony Orselli 19th with Philip Stam in 20th, and then it is Istvan Ballard 21st. Carl Ellenbrand should have started 22nd. He'll be relegated to 10 grid positions. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it will be Risto in the 22nd position, Roger Cronin in 23rd, Yunus Nakurian in 24th, Jorn Jens in 25th. And Marius, Carl Sennenbrand, a 10th place grid penalty for him here today.
Yeah, Klaus Ehrenmann signed a 10th place grid penalty for an avoidable contact on Silverstone, especially in the first turn where I think it was Troy Schulz. He just cut across him, and it was quite an avoidable thing. So they both had room to each side, and Klaus Ehrenmann just cut across his front and caused an incident. So a 10th place grid penalty for him. We've had similar incidents in Road America, and usually we're not that strict, but incidents causing such big trouble have to be followed and have to be leaving consequences, of course. So Klaus Ehrenmann from 22nd to 32nd this race, 10th place grid penalty for him. No other penalties assigned, however. Silverstone has been a pretty clean race. A little bit of issues there, here and there, but just one protest and not really a big issue.
Indeed, and we'll hope that continues. Suzuka, mercifully, the turn one, there's a lot of room for drivers to, you know, find ways around if they need to. Of course, though, Race Control have said that any driver going wide on the 130R trying to make time will be given a penalty. So that's something that needs to be borne in mind for these drivers as well. And, you know, Marius, these drivers can gain a lot of time by going off track, doing this, that and the other, but they've got to, you know, be respectful to the other drivers, and I think that's what that rule really is for.
Yeah, it's not only what rule is for, but I think also the drivers have started to emphasize on that. They are all started to treating each other like friends, and even at the top pack, where there's maybe team rivalry and drivers rivalry, I think it's all coming together. They're all treating each other like friends and fellow racers. Maybe not exactly as friends in the track. They might be rough with each other, but as soon as the race is over, they are all just a couple of iRacers together, trying to fight for the $1,000 here, $500 in the pot for the winner here. The GlacierTV $1,000 Cup, of course, offering more prizes, but the big $500 for the winner is really what everyone's after here.
Indeed. To run through a little bit of your grid, it is going to be Jorn Jens starting in the 25th position. We talked about that. Henry Bachmann in the 26th spot, Alain Sabat 27th, Carl Frederick Kursong in 28th, with Hugo Pekalami in 29th, TJ Yasak in the 30th position, Stefan Schmidt 31st, Joe Jr. 32nd, Rob Kuss 33rd, Michael Kannenberg in 34th, with Conrad Hutten in the 35th position. We've got 42 drivers starting here today, and you touched upon something there. Some of these drivers are doing double duty here today. They raced early on today in the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. They're racing yet again here today. Jason Lovett's one of those drivers that immediately comes to mind in this, the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. And Liam, after racing for an hour and a half early on today, to do not one but 2 half-hour sprint races now, that's going to take a lot out of some of these guys racing at the top of their game.
Oh, and the thing is as well, these aren't just regular drivers, these are the best sim racers in the world going against the best sim racers in the world. So you're going to be at the highest level of competition possible. Not only as you say for 1 half-hour sprint race, it's for 2 of them. So maybe racing earlier was not the best idea. You need to really get yourself in a good mental and physical position so that you can really try and carry out this race to your fullest potential. And it's really going to separate the men from the boys, because this track, as we've already established, is no easy track to master, and already having a little bit of fatigue maybe from the hour and a half race earlier, it should pay a bit of dividends here. So it's all going to be about mind strength and evidently physical strength, I think, today.
Physical strength, mental strength, stamina, everything's all going to come into play, but also one of the key and critical factors of this race is going to, of course, be that start. Suzuka, it's a downhill start, of course, so these drivers are going to have to bear a couple of things in mind. Of course, the start of races at Suzuka, something that, you know, fabled history back in 1990 with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. And Prost was, of course, chosen to be on the cleaner side of the track because of FIA's people. But yeah, you never know, we could have an interesting turn here. So, cars on the grid now, getting ready to go racing for the first of 2 races here today. And guys, before we crank it up, what's your final thoughts? Marius, you go first.
Always when we're at the grid, I'm thinking standing start. Not really the usual thing to do in these cars, so I hope everything goes clean. My bet's on Jesse Niemann in this race, not because we're teammates, but I think he's really well prepared this time, and together with Martin behind Krönk, who's probably pushing Hutu, he might be able to take the lead and race win in the first race.
Liam, you got 5 seconds. Go.
Well, I think it's definitely going to be close. 42 top drivers, one of the most demanding circuits on the calendar, and it's just going to be absolute carnage, I reckon. Just great racing all round, but my bet could be on Hutu having the inside line for turn 1.
Indeed, and that's one of the things. Suzuka's always done that curveball. You see the lights coming on the pace car on the gantry now. We're going to go racing here for 30 minutes here at Suzuka. Lights on, and they're out, and we're going green here. And Neiman has got a good start. Hutu's got a good start as well. It's going to be a drag race down in turn number 1, but Hutu is going to have it. He's going to have the inside line, and he's away, just like Liam talked about. Hutu gets to start. Neiman is going to have to fall back into the second position with Conke in third. Williams in fourth. Apana's currently in fifth, but he had a bit of Alataro trying to go around him into the S's. But a great start from these top 5 drivers, and Neiman has lost out.
Yeah, bad start by Jesse. Really bad start. Surprisingly how bad. And immediately Gregor Hutu was able to build a gap here. So I wonder what really the strategy for Jesse is. Of course, now he's directly in front of his teammates Martin Kroenke and David Williams, followed by Ilka Harpala and Rico Latalo. But so far, Gregor is really the start winner here.
Indeed, and Hutu say he's got himself now that an early on advantage, and that's what he's going to need, Gregor Hutu, trying to win the first of the 2 heats for the first time apart from Neiman here today. But Liam, it has been a good start also for Harpala, as Alataro had to fall back into the 6th position.
Yeah, indeed it has. We said those Suzuka starts can be absolutely crucial. Gregor Hutu just took that to another level. Said they're getting off the line, he'll have the inside line. He just had no mercy there at all for Jesse Neiman. He's flown away now, over a second already, as they come in towards the 130R. Martin Kroenke still holding third, Williams fourth. Harpala, as we said, and Rico Alatalo, beg your pardon, both going really well at the moment. Alatalo up into P5, sticking with them. We could see a little bit of back racing this afternoon in towards that final chicane, and it's so hard to get one car through there, let alone 2 or more, as they'll pile into it, but still through the first lap. Very clean racing so far, but as they come across the start-finish line for the end of lap 1, just look at the gap which Gregor Hutu has over Jesse Neiman in 0.9 seconds after the first lap, and that couldn't have gone much better.
Yeah, and indeed, I was having a look at these drivers. They were just managing to get themselves through the 130R and into the Casino Triangle. Somehow, they all managed to make it through. A couple of drivers a little bit off the pace. We'll update on that one shortly. But it's Hutu leading the way. The gap was 9 tenths of a second as they completed lap number 1. Doesn't matter how many laps you do today. It is, of course, all about time. These 30-minute sprint races. The gap, though, is big. And Hutu is trying to drive away. He's got the start. He's led lap number 1. That's what he needed to do. Now, Neiman and Kroenke and Williams, they're back in second, third, and fourth positions on the racetrack. But Neiman, it looks as though he's broken away from Kroenke just a little bit. Williams struggling to keep in touch in that 4th position. Harpala, of course, is ahead of Alataro, but Aloma has managed to find his way past Alataro as well to move Aloma up into the 6th position.
Yeah, and as I was taking it, Jason Lovick, currently P17, is undergoing a lot of pressure now from Rosselli, and just behind them as well you've got Lunatius, so he's not too far away. These 3 dueling away right now, and of course, as we said, every position is vital. They won that 20th position, right now they're just in front of it, so it'll be towards the rear end of the grid. But let's see what happens here. Of course, Suzuka's very tricky place to pass, and they're just going to try and bide their time and maybe wait for that final triangle chicane and see what happens. But right now, though, Rosselli looking very, very handy indeed. He gets a massive slipstream now as they're heading towards the 130R. Let's see what he can try and accomplish through here then.
Yeah, and we've seen how good Rosselli has been before. He is trying to close that gap on Jason Lovatt, and that is the battle for 17th and 18th positions on the racetrack. This field's still very tight all the way down. Cars separated by 1, maybe 2 car lengths all the way through this field. Out front, it is still Hutu leading the way. The gap is now 1.4 seconds. We have 1 driver who's involved in an incident early on in this race. That was Lane Stabach in the 57 car. He's going slowly on the racetrack, and he's going to have to pull that car off because the leaders are coming, and they are coming very, very quickly. David Williams, say, in that 4th position, has kind of lost contact now a little bit with Martin Kroenke, but has now got Harpala closing up from behind. The gap is now about 2.5 car lengths. They jump up the Dunlop curve, down into Dega number 1 once again. And Harpala looking as though he's very good in the first sector of this racetrack, but as soon as they get into Dega 1, Dega 2, it looks as though Williams can just stretch his legs a little bit, but just as I say that, Harpala is as close as he's ever been as they go into the hairpin.
Indeed he is, he's reeling him in now, and you can feel that momentum shift after poor old the man in front, David Williams, after trying to push onto the back of Kroenke, who's just blitzed away into the distance now. He was almost 5/10 slower that last time round, and you can just see that black and of Ilkka Haapala slowly closing in on him, and it's going to be quite frightening. But Williams, of course, very experienced driver, as is Haapala in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. They both know each other very well and are familiar with each other's driving styles around this circuit, so this should be an entertaining battle to watch.
Indeed, and Marius, these cars, you know, they're getting a little bit of separation now on the racetrack, but you're having a look all the way from Jeremy Bootaloop in 8th, you've got Chris Damon Jr. just behind him in 9th, Pablo Lopez in 10th, and Darren Marsh 11th. These 4 drivers are very closely matched on the racetrack and nothing between them at the moment.
Yeah, and I've been observing starting position in contrarily to the current position on the track, and Chris Damon Jr. once again has made up 2 positions, this time at the start. Not really much more to ask from him. He's overtaken Pablo Lopez and Darren Marsh. Darren Marsh dropped from 8th position to 11th here, so Chris Damon Jr. made up 2 positions right away. And we've known him from Silverstone. He's done a brilliant race there, and probably one of the main guys you don't want behind you. Usually quite aggressive, but also very fast here. Currently running behind Jeremy Bootaloop in 9th position.
And of course, Pablo Lopez in that Radical Steel Series machine wants to get a good finish in the first race. We talk about Lopez's woes. He had that at Silverstone. Yet again, looking at him, he's sat in that 10th position now, but perhaps he's just a little bit more cautious on that start line, just to ensure that he can get through this first race unscathed.
Yeah, a bit of caution isn't that far. I mean, we've seen Silverstone, the start can be very messy, and we've seen especially at Road America how messy it can be. And yeah, I wonder how long it takes for the guys to really get in the zone. Currently, Gregor Huttu leading 144.6 last lap, about 4/10 quicker than Jesse Niemann. So I wonder what Jesse's really doing here. Kroenke seems to be not completely in the zone yet. We've seen comparable things to that on Silverstone, where the MySpeed drivers took about 3-4 laps to really get on the pace, but that has been too late on Silverstone, and I'm afraid it looks like it could be too late here as well.
And I'll tell you what, Darren Marsh there, down in the 11th position, had a great run coming out of the hairpin, trying to work on Pablo Lopez in the battle for the 7th position. Lopez, of course, then had the right line on the exit of the corner, which gave him the position back down the spoon curve. But Marsh is looking strong in that 68 machine, part of that big battle with Daniel Lopez right behind. So Marsh is currently in a Lopez sandwich, and Troy Schultz falling a little bit further back in 12th. But Liam, that midfield battle, once again, it really is all the way down the field. You know, you've got that battle from 8th down to 12th, then you've got another battle kind of from about 13th and 15th, and then the one, of course, that we all need to keep an eye on, that battle for 20th position.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said, though, that crucial battle through the midfield, every position being hotly contested. Once again, though, Rosselli is still tucked up away behind Jason Lovey. Just can't find a move. Jason defending gallantly as we speak at the moment. Rosselli's ducking and diving all over the place. Had a little bit of a look into turn 1, but Jason slammed the door shut before there was any given opportunity. But right now, though, Rosselli, all he's got to do is keep his car planted there. The last thing you want to do is burn the tyres out this early on in the race. We've only had 9 minutes. We've still got another 21 minutes to go. So the last thing you want to do is start locking brakes and trying to force manoeuvres which aren't there, especially when you've got Lynn Alotto just behind you.
Yeah, and it's one of those drivers, yet another one of those drivers you really don't want to, you know, push too hard with. And how to say that Patrick Vulton has actually been black flagged. The Vulton is going to have to come down towards pit road and serve a stop and go penalty. We've completed about 8 minutes of this race. It is Huttu leading the way, getting even in second, Martin Kroenke in third, David Williams in fourth, Ilkka Haapala rounding out your top 5 with Aloma back in the 6th position, really falling away now from these top 5 drivers. Alatalo in 7th, close to Aloma but not quite close enough. Jeremy Bootaloop in 8th, Chris Damon Jr. in 9th, and Pablo Lopez rounding out your top 10. A couple of drivers today who are lapped out, and Sabat is now closed out of the race. Esther Hayton is out of the race. Patti Valtonen say he's serving a black flag as we speak. Philip Stam is also out of the race. And Esther De La Pena, he's the last car on the lead lap, but going very slowly. He's 1 minute 21 behind the race leader, and he's going to get put on a lap down very, very soon. Checking back in on that battle though, and it's really hot. Daniel Lopez, Darren Marsh, Jeremy Bootaloop, Pablo Lopez, and Chris Damon Jr. It looks as though actually Pablo Lopez going to get around Bootaloop, so move Lopez up into the 9th position, Bootaloop down to 10th, and this battle is really hotting up now with drivers coming back together.
Yeah, and it looks like Klug might have a little bit of damage as he's made a little mistake in the last turn, and then it's been immediately passed by his teammate on the final straight, as well as Chris Dameron Jr. earlier, and that puts Chris Dameron Jr. in 8th position, and now he's got a bit of a gap ahead to Rico Alatolo, about 2.5 seconds right there. Pablo Lopez chasing him, then Jeremy Bouteloup and Darren Marsh. So not really sure if Bouteloup will be able to hold off Darren Marsh, as he's almost slamming into the rear of his teammate Pablo Lopez there. So it looks like Bouteloup is a bit nervous there, and also seems to be struggling with the car. Now finding about 4 or 5 car train right behind him.
But Bouteloup, as we saw at Silverstone, he can have a very wiggly car, but somehow managed to stick with it. That 13 machine, however, is struggling a little bit here today, and he has got Darren Marsh really hounding him as they come down the 130R, once again down towards 130R even, to put their 6th lap in the books. We're just past 10 minutes now, but Darren Marsh is looking strong in this race in that 68 car, and he's looking to try and make some headway after losing that position to Pablo Lopez earlier on in this race. And just seeing these cars go through the Casino Triangle, they all have to get single file down there. There's no way you can go too wide through that set of corners. But Timo Eden, as you said, and Paul Ilbrandt and Troy Schultz, they've all kind of caught up to this Trulli train now. The LMP2 Trulli train is today being headed up by Dameron Jr., but he's actually going pretty well up currently in that 8th position. And Liam, he's trying to close the gap down to Alatalo, but he's not really got a shot to do so with his lap times at the moment.
No, indeed not. I think Rico Alatalo's last time was a 145.985, as opposed to Dameron Jr.'s, which was a 146.396, so a significant difference there already. And because of that, you can just see Pablo Lopez and the following cavalry slowly creeping on in him now. But I think Bouteloup and Darren Marsh both have to be exceedingly careful, because yes, they want to try and push up as high as they can through that field, but they've got to be careful because both of them have very feisty competitors just behind. All of them have been very consistent this season and want to get even more points this afternoon. But as mentioned, there's guys like Paul Lebrink, who've done very well this season inside that top 10, who are starting to gain on them now. But as we say, that Paul Lebrink has just been passed by Timu through the hairpin, and Timu sails on now and looks to set his sights a bit higher onto the back of Troy Schultz.
So yeah, driver's still on the move. Gregor Hutu still leading the way out front as he comes out of the 130R underneath the Advan Yokohama Bridge as he comes now into the Casino Triangle, and he's going to put his 7th lap in the book, and he's got himself a lapped car of an Esso Della Penna ahead of him. I talked about how Della Penna's had a difficult race. He's got some damage in the front of his car, still trying to work with it, but he's going to have to hope that Hutu catches him in a nice place, because this track can get single file very, very quickly. You do not want to be in the way of the leader as he's coming up behind you. But so, action down at chicane, and that's Darren Marsh looking down to the inside. He will complete the pass on Pablo Lopez. He's going to have the line coming into turn at number 1. They're so close. As you see that, they're almost touching inches between, and they actually do touch a little bit there. The 68, and he loses position. Lopez, a beautiful save there around the outside. Marsh will come back as they come down into the S. This is going to be Lopez now on the line. He will have to tuck in though, and Marsh just takes the position and slams the door on Pablo Lopez there.
Oh, great stuff indeed. Really brilliant, courageous driving by both of them, to say the least. They really did not want to surrender that position. And Lopez did a sterling to keep that car pointed in the right direction. But now they've got to be careful, because Lopez has now come under pressure from Daniel Lopez. And this could get very heated very quickly. These guys again know each other extremely well. And of course, Daniel Lopez really is bringing the cavalry just behind him. Troy Schultz now almost look to the inside there and into the hairpin. Timo leaving it again. He's been the main mover this first stint of the race. He's already disbanded Paul Lebrink, and really, as we said, set his high sire. He's already on the back of Troy Schultz now. He's dropped a little bit away from Daniel Lopez. So these 4, I reckon Timo could very well be a little bit of a mover here and maybe even get through that top 4.
Indeed, I'm just going to check in the battle for the 20th position, and it is currently Jorn Jens who's got himself a 2-second gap over Rister Unilin, and say that Jorn Jens getting very squarely down at the spoon curve. So at present it is Jorn Jens who has got that 20th position in the bags. He's 1 position behind Pilot Lenny who is currently at the rear of this train. We've got the study ahead of him, and then Jason Lovett, this 3-car train, catching off the big train, which has now got Neil Version, Paul Ilbrink, Timo Eden, Troy Schultz, Daniel Lopez, and Pablo Lopez. Lopez holding up a couple of these drivers now. That Radical car is very good at the start, but now it looks as though he's coming under a lot of pressure from Daniel Lopez. So Lopez and Lopez, a battle for the 11th position. But Lopez struggling of the Daniel variety to try and find a way to close right up to the rear of his namesake Pablo.
Yeah, indeed he does. And right there, as I said, they've really got to be careful of each other, because the last thing you're going to do is bin it. Now we've just touched halfway into this race, so going into the second half. And right now, Pablo Lopez looking to go under a little bit of pressure. But as you've seen across various different disciplines, Pablo Lopez is a very hard man to get past. Add the track like Suzuka into the mix, and this is going to be one battle which could very well go down in the history books.
Paul Ilbrink going very wide there at the Dunlop curve. The car just wouldn't have the grip he needed again onto the gravel again as he went through the Dunlop curve, and he lost himself a position there to Dion Verges to move Ilbrink down into the 16th position, having himself a little bit of a difficult day now, and he's trying to try and gain some of that momentum back. But Chris Damron Jr., it looks as though he is caught up slightly now to the rear of Alataula. That gap has come down a little bit, and Alataula, he must have had a bad lap, because he was pulling away dramatically, and all of a sudden Damron Jr. can see him again.
Yeah, I'm not too sure it's had to Riki though. I'm sure we might get a little replay or something a bit later on. But one thing for certain, this could very well inspire Damron Jr. Maybe give him a little bit of motivation, because actually one thing about Riki's still not too far away from Alexei Aloma either, who's, you know, just a little bit in front of him. So while these two are very close now, this could actually give the man that's behind him, Damron Jr., a little bit of motivation. He sees those cars once again. He wants to go as fast as he can now. His last lap time as he comes across the line now, I think we'll get a little bit of a slipstream from the lap car in front of Ernesto Della Pena. But his lap was a 1:45.854. And if you look at Riku's, 1:46.321, which could have well been a bit of an off-pace lap there for Riku, but nonetheless, those three are very closely slipping in on each other.
Yeah, and Ricciardo Motorhome is catching up to the rear of Alexei Aloma as they come up the Dunlop curve once again. Aloma's looking as though he's not had the pace in the middle stint of this race, but still able to keep a gap of about a second to Alataula as they're working their way through Denga number 2 once again. And Aloma is doing a good job in that 23 car, but they have dropped the two of them now to 3 seconds behind that battle for 4th position, which is David Williams and Ika Hapana. And Williams is about a second ahead of Hapana, but Hapana is very good in the first sector. It just looks as though when they stretch their legs, Williams can actually get himself a bit of a gap, and that's what he really needs in that number 26 car.
Yeah, indeed he does, and right now he's going to try and keep pushing. Let's sorry to try and change conversation there. Jason Lovett has been passed by Roselli. It's taken 15 minutes, but he's finally got through, and Lovett almost lost a position to Leonardo as well, and he's got to be careful though. Lovett going right back on the offensive now as he goes through speeds round the outside. That's a very risky move. He's off the track there, and they're still fighting, still side by side as they begin the run to 130R. This is absolutely incredible side by side stuff here. This is going to get so tense. Side by side they will go through 130R. It's a race of confidence, and it looks like Lovett's held on. I'm not sure how he's done that, but he's got the position back after being passed by Roselli just a few corners ago. The sheer courage and determination of Jason Lovett has earned him that 16th position back, so great stuff there by Lovett. This battle is really getting heated up now as we enter the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the whole thing is the downforce of these cars. These drivers are taking a kind of medium downforce setup. Yeah, you know, some of the other drivers have got low downforce, and they are just so quick on that back straightaway. And that's something we're going to have to bear in mind for the second heat as we start thinking about that in about 11-12 minutes time. But it is still Hutu leading the way, and that gap is now up to 3.4 seconds over Jesse Nieminen in the battle for the first position. Kroenke, look at this, he is falling now to 8 seconds behind Jesse Nieminen in third, with David Williams a further couple of turns per second behind, and they finally started to break away from Ika Hapana in the 5th position. Hapana is just staying there for the time being, but it's very difficult for them, and it looks as though Jeremy Bouteloup is out of the race. I need to figure out what happened to him, but the 30 car...
Very strange, very strange. I've been following Bouteloup for the bigger part of the S's there. His car doesn't seem to have damage, so he's just been running behind Darren Marsh. I wonder if he's got a black flag or something. It's really hard to say. It doesn't seem that Bootaloo has had any sufficient damage. However, it doesn't also look that he's got a slowdown here, so very strange. We definitely have to catch up with that. However, that will get a bit of a breathing space there for Darren Marsh in 10th position, as he's now following Chris Dameron Jr., who's also not really that far away. Nevertheless, the battle between them, which has been the Lopez-only battle, has meanwhile extended to a battle from Pablo Lopez throughout Troy Schultz, Daniel Lopez, Timo Ivonen, Dion Vergis, and closes up with Paul Ilbrink and also Jason Lovett and Anthony Roselli. So this is exactly what we've seen at Silverstone at Road America, guys. As soon as we go down from, let's say, the top 8, top 9, we get these sorts of battles as Jeremy Bootaloo is being tossed down the grid by disconnecting here. Battle for 10th position led by Pablo Lopez and Troy Schultz here, absolutely heating up.
Yeah, so Pablo Lopez once again back into the top 10 positions. He's been struggling to stay in the top 10 all day, but with Bootaloo now retiring from the race, everything else is going on around him. He is now back sat in the 10th position. Troy Schultz, however, wants to take that 10th position away. Troy Schultz driving to TNT Racing with Daniel Lopez behind him in 12th. Very close gap between these two drivers. Got a very slow car actually down on the inside. That is Pasi Veltinen, and Veltinen was scored in the 35th position, one lap down. He is off the track, going very, very slowly there. But you see, Daniel Lopez gets a great run coming out of Denga number 2, which cannot use the momentum to come into the hairpin. Troy Schultz is looking very close to the rear of Pablo Lopez as well. And this is one battle that will go all the way down to the checkered flag. But again, it looks as though once we get out of the S's, Lopez can just stretch his legs a little bit. Perhaps he's one of those drivers using a lower downforce setup, and Troy Schultz is having to stay right with him as they go down into the spoon curve once again. We'll keep an eye on these drivers. In fact, we'll try and go on board with Troy Schultz as they come out of the spoon curve. This is where they really get to put the power on. As they come out of the spoon curve, they'll go down underneath the Panasonic bridge now in towards the 130R. Hold on to your breath as you go into this corner. You just swing it to left, have to have absolute commitment in your race car when you do so, and then you'll just slow it down at the very last second into the 130R. You go all the way down into first gear, try and hop the curves, but not too much. You see the drivers just using the very edges of the first one, then really riding over the second. Troy Schultz is still sat in that 11th position, but he is still hounding on Pablo Lopez. And Liam, that's one battle that is going to go to the wire.
Oh, and indeed it is. And just look at the Lopez line beginning to now there. You can see all the cars lining up behind them. We've got the likes of Jason Lovett, who's actually now poured away a substantial gap to Roselli. Now, Roselli's last time was a 146.8, which is 4 tenths slower than Jason Lovett's, but nonetheless so, this traffic now, which Jason's going to encounter, I say traffic in a loose turn because it's all for race position, but this track is so hard to pass on that it may as well be, because Paul LeBrake now is trying to catch them as well. So we can see guys all the way back into realistically 20th position, who's Hunalainen, who's really beginning to close in now. So from 20th all the way up to 10, that's nearly a 10-car battle, all fighting over the same positions. This is going to get really intense really quickly with 7 minutes to go. I think it's going to take a little bit of risky driving now, maybe thinking some outside the box manoeuvres could really change the impact on this one. Look at Schultz, got a bit of a bad run there, but immediately snapped the car back, and Daniel Lopez, that's the closest he's been to having a look on a momentumless mover on Troy Schultz at the moment. But again, he's got to be careful. If he did go for that big bank braking manoeuvre, if it didn't pay off, he could so easily lose around 5 positions in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and we've seen the battle for 20th position nearly in all of the heats so far. Nevertheless, it looks pretty much settled here. Jörn Jens in place 19 and Risto Unilainen in 20th position. Basically, they still belong to the Pablo Lopez 10-car battle, and even if they just continue driving like that, Istvan Balog and Roderick Croynen in 21st and 22nd are so far off that realistically there's no opportunity. And I see Troy Schultz is wide and over the gravel there, and he's lost several positions in the last chicane.
Yeah, and that is the place where you do not want to go off track. He's down at the chicane, and that is going to be an annoying disappointment there for Schultz, and he's fallen back now to behind Anthony Roselli. So he's down now into the 17th position. Troy Schultz having to do all of that work once again here in the first 2 heats. We are approaching the 5-minute warning, so these drivers have got about 4 or 5 laps left to go here, as you see Schultz coming up the hill once again. But that is going to release the pressure for Pablo Lopez for just a couple of minutes, because he's got his namesake once again, Daniel Lopez, starting to hound him down as they come down into Denger's once again. Denger number 1, then flicking it to the right one more time for Denger number 2. And out front, it has been all Gregor Houtu, Marius.
Yeah, so far it has been only Justin Niemann slightly being able to follow here, 4 seconds behind Gregor Houtu. Still a decent gap, let's say 4 seconds after 22 laps, 22 minutes, not that bad. Martin Krunko already dropped back to 13 seconds, David Williams 15, Il Carpala 16, so nothing around David Williams is as well decided there. But we keep our eyes on the top 10 fight here, so it's nothing really to the 10th position here. It kind of looks like every one of them is going for the 10th spot here, so it's not the 10th spot you're after, it's the 20th, and we're not going to reverse the top 10 only.
And I tell you who has got someone else, it is Darren Marsh, and this is the battle for the 8th position now with Damon Jr. just ahead of him. Darren Marsh's last lap time was a 1 minute 45.5. Compare that to Damon Jr.'s 1 minute 45.9. And Marsh looking like he is on the attack now in that 68 car. So come down into turn number 2 once again. Which is one of the things I want to keep an eye on with Marsh as he goes through the S's, because it looks like Marsh has been one of those drivers trying a little bit different wing to some of these other cars. And you know, you can really dial a lot of downforce into those rear spoilers. But Marsh, he just gets right onto the rear of Damon Jr. to go through the S's, almost implying to me that he might have a little bit more wing in this car.
It's really hard to say. However, what I wanted to say some minutes ago, with this 10-car battle and the cars running so close to each other under the braking zone, you tend to lose all the aerodynamic grip you have when you're running in free air. So once you're very close to another car, especially from braking from higher speeds, it's very easy to lock up your front tires, and once you do that, we've seen that on Road America, it is very easy to hit your opponent, and especially when the guys are running 10 in a 10-car train and approaching the hairpin, then you slam on the brakes, and then you, by about 90% of it, be just slightly late, it is almost exactly over right away. And so far these guys are pretty much keeping it safe without Troy Schultz just losing it. Everything has been going swimmingly, and I believe Troy Schultz has the server.
Yeah, Troy Schultz in the S's. The last part of the S is getting it completely wrong. He just caught a white line on turning. The car just wouldn't stay in the right direction. Slammed into the wall. He is now out of the race and will be classified perhaps around the 31st position. We have got ourselves a little over 3 minutes left to go here in this race. So Houtu is working his way down into the Dengers. So it looks as though he's going to have 2 laps left to go at the line. Houtu still leading the way. The gap is now 5 seconds from Niemann. As I tell you what, we've got a battle for P10, and Alatalo has been able to get himself past Leski Aloma in the battle for the 6th position. So from nowhere, Alatalo has managed to get himself up in position.
Yeah, Rico looking very strong the entire race. Not sure if he's been held up by Alexi, but definitely not really making the pass. Of course, those two being teammates, not really trying to make it fully aggressive. However, 10th position, the battle is still going on. Pablo Lopez going too wide through the chicane for about, I think it was the 4th time now. So Pablo versus Daniel, both the Lopezes fighting very hard. Meanwhile, Temo Ivon and Jon Verges have fully closed in, and Jason Lovett has to back off from that battle. So it's only a 4-way battle, which has been a 10-car battle just some laps ago. Temo Ivon in 12th position, also a very strong contender here for the top 10. He's really looking to make the pass here everywhere. He's been too wide with Daniel Lopez out of the last turn, and also Jon Verges seems like he would like to profit from that. And behind that, Paul Ilbrink is also biting his wheel right behind Jason Lovett. So none of these places are safe yet. Still, we have to remind you there's no top 10 grid reversal. It is, however, top 20, and on the 20th position we have Roderick Troinen, who has been benefited, we may not forget that, by Troy Schultz. Troy Schultz disconnecting from the race, of course benefiting Troinen with the lucky dog, if you will. First position in the 2nd race, and he's been gaining the position from Eastman Balog, and Balog now realizes that it's not only around the 21st position anymore. Balog has to realize that he has to get that spot back if he wants to start in the grid on the 1st spot the next time. So Roderick Troinen, by the disconnect of Troy Schultz, has the luckiest position in the grid, 58 seconds down the leader, but in 20th position.
Sorry, I had to say that Daniel Lopez was getting very close to the rear of Pablo Lopez as they came into the casino triangle. Lopez just able to hold on for one more lap as they're coming now down into turn number 1. Lopez has been keeping on to that pressure, but Evelyn is looking as though he's ready to pounce at any moment as well. And this time by, we're going to have one more lap left to go, and it is Hutu still leading the way. Liam Hutu's been on a dominant drive here today, but one of the things that we've talked about with Hutu is that he's been struggling once he gets into that second race, managing his way through the traffic. Could this be the day that Hutu shines?
Oh, and Darren Marsh versus Chris Dameron Jr. puts both of them in heavy trouble. Darren Marsh going fully off the track in the hairpin there into the gravel, and also Chris Dameron Jr. has some severe damage to the front right of his car. That has been looking like a bit of a ghost contact there. I'm not really sure. Darren Marsh, however, looks as his car is pretty much safe, and Chris Dameron Jr. now has to bring the car across the line. And then it's one more lap to go for both of them, and I don't think that Darren Marsh will be able to have a problem with Chris Dameron Jr. there, as it really looks like Dameron Jr. has to execute a pit stop. He's only running about 250 kilometers an hour on the straight, and his car seems severely broken.
But Dameron Jr., he has got to try and stay in this race, and the worst thing that could happen to him is him actually coming home in the 21st position. I'm sure he will not be happy with that. I'm having a look though. He has got himself...
Oh, and Pablo Lopez is off! Lopez off, and another Lopez. Both Lopez's off in the 130R, and that has been a clear fault by Pablo Lopez. He's given Daniel Lopez the tap on the rear, going too wide into 130R. Not a good idea, putting Pablo in the wall and leaving Daniel severely damaged, and they are just very lucky that that hasn't caused any other incident.
Pablo Lopez's woes in the first race continues. He is now down into, I believe, just outside the top 20. We'll get confirmation of this actually. He sat in the 18th position. He's got Daniel Lopez ahead of him. Daniel lets Pablo go past, but this is all happening now on the final lap. Gregor Hutu has got himself just a couple of corners left to go. He has got one car ahead of him. That is Stefan Schmidt in the 81 car. He will be going down a lap. But Gregor Hutu now bringing it down into the 130R for the final time in round number 1. He is destined now to start in the 20th position for the second race. Hutu has got it all to do in the second race, but for now, he can taste victory. He comes out of Casino Triangle, but he is going to win round number 5. We're going to go right back into the middle of this field. The battle for the 20th position is going to hot up. Keeping an eye on Pablo Lopez, because we believe he is now outside the top 20. And in fact, it could be Isla Balau who's taken that 20th position away.
Yeah, and I believe Pablo Lopez is exactly on the 20th position. Daniel Lopez, of course, dropped behind him, and Roderick Croynen and both Istvan Balog have gained the position, and now it's Jonas Nukarin who takes once again the 20th position. If you remind Silverstone, he's been the one starting from pole in the second race, and he's been winning it. So Jonas Nukarin not in the picture at all. Might take the 20th position here. Not really sure. The timing has not updated yet, but it really looks as Nukarin takes the 20th spot here. Klaus Ellenbrand behind him, too far away to react, and it looks like Pablo Lopez with the damaged car cannot hold on to them. So it will probably be Jonas Nukarin to take the 20th spot. Of course, not forget Jesse Nieminen finishing second, Martin Kroenke third, but the dominant victory from Gregor Hutu in the first race here. And we'll just keep an eye on Jonas Nukarin as the timing will update this time by. And will it be Nukarin for place 20? And that will mean first position in the second race, of course. And he's across the line. And yes, 20th spot for Jonas Nukarin and first position in the second race.
So Pablo Lopez once again in the first race has a bitter disappointment. He will start race number 2 from the 22nd position. It is Klaus Ellenbrand, the unlucky guy. He's going to start in the 21st position. But we will calm it down for just a moment, and we will run through your final race results. It is Gregor Hutu winning heat round, whatever you want to call it, round number 5 of the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. It is Jesse Nieminen in second, Martin Kroenke in third, David Williams in fourth, Ika Haparda rounding out your top 5. Ricky Radatale will line up in 6th, so finish 6th. Aleski Loma in 7th, Darren Marsh in 8th, Chris Dameron Jr. in 9th, Timo Evening in 10th, Leon Verges in 11th, Jason Lover in 12th, Paul Ilbrank 13th, Anthony Orselli in 14th, and Tapana Laniotto in the 15th position, Jorn Jens in 16th, Risto Uninen in the 17th position, Roderick Cronin in 18th, Istvan Balau in 19th, and from nowhere, Jonas Nukarin in the 20th position. Klaus Ellenbrand 21st, Pablo Lopez, disappointment for him, 22nd, Henry Backman 23rd, Yuya Pekalami in 24th, Joe Jr. in 25th, and then it is Daniel Lopez who's finished all the way down in the 26th position after battling for the top 10 for most of this race. And Liam, just crazy last couple of laps there.
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking in my head as well. I thought, you know what, I said it before, I'll say it again. Lopez has been a formidable defender, but again, that first race bad luck just keeps striking him. But I guess we will see if he can try and reverse that during race 2, but of course, sitting just outside that top 20. If it was just one position higher, just a split second, or that crash didn't last as long, he could have so easily been sat on pole position, and again, it just wasn't to be his day. That we will see what happens during race 2, but of course Gregor Hutu led from start to finish. I said he'd get that run into turn 1, and he did. It was just absolutely incredible, and ended 6 seconds clear of Jesse Nieminen. Now while they may not seem like a lot, these two are bitter rivals on and off the track, but of course great friends as well. But knowing that you're 6 seconds clear of a championship contender really does give you a big motivation boost going into the second race.
They're best friends, but they're also bitter rivals. I think he summed it up perfectly there, Liam. And that is the thing. It's now going to be Hutu lining up in the 20th position, and then it will be in the 19th spot for race number 2, Jesse Nieminen. In the 18th position, it will be Martin Kroenke with David Williams in 17th, and Hika Hala in the 16th position. So take your top 20 drivers, flipping around. There's your top 20 for race number 2. And that's coming up in, I don't know, just about 10-15 minutes time. And Marius, we almost need to catch our breath and think, what the hell happened now with Daniel and Pablo?
Oh yeah, we need to, and of course Daniel and Pablo involving Jonas Nukarin, who's been the lucky guy here to take the 20th position once again. And well, I don't know if you remember, but we had him last time right after the race, and he's been absolutely surprised. He had no idea what was going on. He said he didn't expect to start on pole, and he also didn't expect to win the race. I can't imagine how it will be this time. So Jonas Nukarinen, your pole sitter for the second race, and we're going to catch a breath, and it's about 10 minutes of time, 15 minutes of time, depending on when the sessions come up. And we're, of course, going to be back with the grid and the second round here on Suzuka.
Fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first
And welcome back to the kind of in the middle halftime show here on Glacier TV. Round number 5 of the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup is in the books. Round number 6 coming to you in about 10 to 15 minutes time. And we're going to do it all again, but for those of you who haven't watched one of these races before, the top 20 drivers are going to be inverted. And I want to come to you first, Marius, for this. We've talked about the Hutu, the Kronke, and the Niemann working their way through traffic. They're going to have to do it again, but it looks as though today Hutu's got a really good car underneath him.
Yeah, he's not only got a good car, but showing it on the display from the start of the first round, he's also got a very good start. I mean, he's basically passed Jesse into the first turn already. Nothing left to do for Jesse to defend. And, well, it's crucial to get a good start in the second round. But we've seen it, for example, in the iRacing Grand Prix World Series, where I think it was Luke McLean. He just got the car sideways on the start and basically binned it before crossing the line. And the HPD isn't particularly the safest or the easiest car to start, as yeah, like I said, basically every time. Yeah, you start the car, you've got low revs, you rev it up, and the clutch is very hard, and it's got a very low slip point, so you either get the car spinning or you don't, and it is even harder than a Formula 1 car. So it's not really the typical type of starting, if you will, but it has been proven for some great starting action, at least on Silverstone it has, and it's just going to be a question of how the cars get off the line and then into the first turn, and hopefully they'll get through that safe.
And you lead in perfectly to my next question, Liam. Turn number 1 this time was fine. Turn number 1 in the second race has always been one where there's been a little bit of action. We had that huge crash at the start of Road America. We had a one car incident in turn number 1 at Silverstone, but Suzuka, perhaps one of the most difficult turn number 1s in the world. And what do you think is going to happen?
Well, you hit the nail on the head there. It is the most difficult, but also you've got to remember that these drivers have just come out from what could have been either a really positive or really negative race for them. So the guys that have had a negative race will want to come out and prove themselves wrong and get themselves back in the mix for some big points. But to do that, they need to make up ground and make it quickly, because we've seen here all race today, really, that making ground around Suzuka is not the easiest thing in the world. So turn 1 often changes from a very friendly place to something of a very different nature, and I'm sure we could see a couple of fireworks going off during the opening stint of race 2.
And indeed, you can see the results coming up on your screen. Gregor Hutu is the championship leader, by the look of it, after this first heat. And it looks as though Timo Ivonen is in second, Martin Kronke in third, Jesse Niemann down to fourth, with David Williams in fifth, Tapano Laliota in sixth, Roderick Krohn in seventh, Rico Adatalo in eighth, Lesky Loma in ninth, and Jason Lover in 10th. But out front, just look at the gap Hutu has. I mean, you know, Hutu 506 points, even him on 363. And all of these guys around him are going to have to do all the hard work just to get themselves back into contention at the moment.
Yeah, and again, that's just one of the beauties of Suzuka, and doing that, given the current grid positions, is really going to be interesting to see who can conquer it. Poor Pablo Lopez sits there in P20 tied with Dion Verges. These two almost were side by side there, had a little bit of a battle earlier on, trying to get these big points today. Now, of course, those two will start reasonably close to each other in the start of race 2, but you've got to remember, though, turn 1 is a different environment because you've got different drivers there. There is no, realistic competitors around you that you will recognise, because the top 20 gets completely reversed. So the slower guys are at the front of the field, which can really impact the rest of the race, especially if one, maybe, you know, just outside the top 10 gets a lightning start and charges their way through. But it's going to really be up to consistency here today. And maybe, I think the drivers will have learned, not in the first race, but in practice as well, that if you want to make a move, you've got to do it sooner rather than later, because that Lopez line, I think, really did show dividends that passing around Suzuka is no easy task.
And of course, those were the results at the end of Silverstone. Results for this race, of course, provisional until any protests have been heard and the race result deemed official. But don't forget, you can keep in contact with us on Twitter. Use the hashtag ProtoICE. That is ProtoICE with a little hashtag thing at the start. If you'd like to talk to us on Twitter, we're bringing you more pictures from Suzuka in a couple of minutes' time, I suppose. But we talk about this second race, and we have to go back to Daniel Lopez, and we have to talk about his woes in race number 1, and they're just continuing yet again.
Yeah, it's just always been a continuing factor for him, but again, maybe the winds of change are blowing, and he really wants to have a strong race too, because we've seen it, not just this race, but think back to Road America and places like that. The actual racing he has completed has been very, very good, clean, competitive racing. He's always in the thick of the action and battling for those big points, but it just never seems to pay off for him, and he's got that consistency level there, just luck always doesn't go his way, so we'll be hoping that the winds of change start blowing around the Japanese atmosphere, but right now though, he's really got to try and push for race 2 and try and make up for lost time.
Of course, and let's take a moment very quickly to fast forward through to next Saturday. Round number 3 of the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing will take place from the historic, the magical, the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course for 73 laps. And also tomorrow, the Classic Grand Prix World Championship Series in the Lotus 79s will be taking place, and that will be at 4:30 p.m. GMT. Back, however, to Suzuka, and we saw the difference between the low downforce setup and the high downforce setup, how the low downforce setup could hold its own just through the S's, but really was able to stretch its legs on the faster sections of the racetrack. Marius, when we look at these drivers, you know, who will be starting 15th through 20th, the top 5-6 drivers in the first race, do you think where they can make up the ground?
Yeah, I think it's just a question of the start. You can make up lots of position at the start, but once you're in the race, it doesn't really make a big difference if you're, let's say, a 10th quicker or slower. So overtaking is more difficult. We've seen a 10-car pack here fighting. You can barely take positions there. So it's really onto the start and the first couple of laps, and we're seeing Gregor Huttu has a great pace on that. But also, of course, Jesse Niemi and Mango Grunko all starting ahead of him right now, so it's their advantage.
Seems to move for the late, Marius. But the medium downforce setup and the low downforce setup, I think that's one that would be interesting to see whether those drivers switch. As I've talked about, they might have done it at Silverstone, they might do it here today. Switch from the medium perhaps to the low downforce setups. Driver like Gregor Huttu, for example, who had a great setup running by himself, now he's going to have to work for the traffic. Maybe he needs to make some changes. Who knows? We'll find out on that one. So we've got ourselves 4 minutes left of practice here before round number 6, the second heat of races here today, takes place. Liam, driver, who are you going to pick?
Well, in terms of win, I honestly couldn't say right now. I think the field is so close together. There are so many competitive lap times as well. All we had to do was look at that up for 10th position to see how many cars were involved. And I think during race 2, as we said, different environment, different drivers, different level of understanding. These drivers are going to try and leave it all out on the tarmac, knowing what's at stake. This is their final chance at what could be their favourite circuit to score some big points. So I think a winner of this race could be unpredictable. They need to take what they learned from race 1, apply it in race 2, and try and get the best out of the car. Maybe even a few minor setup adjustments. We'll have to wait and see, but I honestly right now couldn't pick a winner.
I would ask Marius, but he's busy having a quick break, so we'll bring in Yoni Backman very quickly. We always talk to Yoni because Yoni's awesome. We see the prize pool as well coming up on your screen. But Yoni, you going to pick a winner for today? Race number 2?
Do I really have to?
Excuse me?
I can cram. That's one where, like, you know, kids used to ride on.
Of course.
Like, okay, so I will.
Well, you can go with the obvious choice, can you?
I would. Yeah. Shut up.
No, come on.
I will. I'm trying to pick a winner here. Well, really. I will pick somebody from the top 10 who is starting in the top 10, which would probably be. Oh, damn it. Darren Marsh.
Darren
All right.
Marsh.
That's not what I expected. I'd say just Jonas Nukarinen. He's done a great race in Silverstone, and he's not made any mistakes there. He's proven to be one guy who can run from place 1 and finish at place 1. And yeah, he's proven his point in Silverstone and gained my trust. And for that, I'm confident that Jonas will do it this race.
I'm not too sure. I think we saw that you can get a very good run from second position. You've got the inside line into turn number 1. If you make a good enough start, I am going to go and actually say I think Timo Räikkönen could do it. I can't remember exactly where he's starting, but I think where he was, where he is, I think he's got a chance. And I'm going to place my money on him for once in my life. See these drivers, they've got about 1 minute 10 seconds left. And some drivers trying out some different changes to their cars when I look at it. There's a couple of cars that are very squirrely on the racetrack. But, we talk about this second race. It's always important to get a good start. Marius, take us through what exactly the process is that you need to do to get a good start here at Suzuka. Remembering that it's not actually a kind of flat start either.
Yeah, it really isn't. You're pointing a bit downwards, not too much, so it's not really enough, I think, to get the car into rolling. Nevertheless, all of the cars use a relatively long first gear, so you want to be on the throttle for quite a long time to really increase the point of slip for the throttle. If you just let it snap and the point of slip disappears, you're in gear and you're spinning your rear tires, and running about 20-30 spinning your rear tires can end up in a spin relatively quickly. So what you want to do is engage first gear, put it into neutral, or pull it from neutral into first gear, release the clutch just very slowly and let the car just start to roll, and as soon as you feel you've got the grip, slam on the gas, and well, doing all that, also be aware of your surroundings and obviously the cars around you, as you don't want to rush into the car ahead if you get a good start.
So the check flag is in hand. These drivers now making their way to the grid for the 6th round of the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. To run through your top 10 drivers, it is going to be Jonas Nukarinen lining up on the inside of row number 1. We say inside, it's actually outside, but hey, this one Balor will line up alongside him in the 22 machine. Roderick Cronin in 3rd, Risto in the 28 car will be in 4th, Jorn Jens in 5th, Tapani Lanioto in 6th, Anthony Waselli in 7th, Paul Ilbrank in 8th, and Jason Lover in 9th, for Dion Burgess rounding out your top 10. And I have to say, Balor, I've seen how good Balor can be on starts. If he can get ahead of the Korean into turn number 1, you never know. He could be the driver who takes victory here today. Will it be 3 drivers winning from the pole in the second race? Will the Korean do back-to-back victories in the second split of these races? Sorry, the second heat of these races here today? Can he do it again from Silverstone? We'll find out. The light once again going red on the gantry. We're waiting for them to go green. We'll be racing for the second time here today at Suzuka, and they are now green. And we're away, and Balor gets a good start. The Korean gets a good one. He'll be here to cover them off. To
and great start by Timo Ivonen.
Yeah, a great start. Lanioto getting a good start as well. But look at Ivonen, and they all coming through.
And crash head.
Yeah.
A little bit of a crash for Chris Damon Jr. And Chris Damon Jr. once again.
Big crash. Chris Damon Jr. is involved in that. Henry Bachmann was able to get through, and it looks like Nieminen.
Oh yes, Nieminen.
Nieminen is out.
Lost the front end of his car. It could be raced over, and how much is that going to affect the championship? Gregor Hutu still currently in this race as the rest of the field. A few of the cars taking damage, just massive dust up in front, but currently Gregor Hutu sits in P18, needs to try and get something going as he approaches Rob Kuss, who goes around. Now it's Rob Kuss actually losing ground now as Hutu goes around him as well, so it could be trouble there for Rob as he approaches now Conrad Hutton. So it looks like Hutu's moving to the field. Apala's off the track as well. He comes back when he got any damage. So as we said earlier, Will, the fast lap can be so much different compared to race 1. The aggression's there, the almost sense of desperation. You need that good result and to fight your way through the field sooner rather than later. That was the key here today, but it's also about conserving it as Cronke, P17 and Dion Verges going at it. Pablo Lopez really trying to make something of his race as David Williams almost tries to look at the inside now. The begin to run 30R begins, and David Williams looking extremely handy right now. Going on the back, Pablo Lopez. Once again, Pablo Lopez can just not get away from the action this afternoon. But Williams looks up the inside, then here we go. 3-1-30R. Lopez almost cuts across. Realised where that would have gone. He's been there before. There's dust up in front. I believe that could be Jason Lovett. Yes, Jason Lovett off. And he's got severe damage. He can't stop. And it's race over for Jason Lovett. Utter carnage on the first lap. If you compare that to the first lap of race 1, you think it's a completely different series, Will.
Indeed, you will find there's a number of incidents. We're going to have to go back and go through that little bit by little bit, because there was an incident in turn number 1, there was an incident then in turn number 2, then coming into the S's, so there's cars involved all over the place, cars struggling to try and bring their cars back down towards pit road, and I can saw that Darren Marsh had some damage, Joe Jr.'s got some damage to his race car. We've got Ika Hapara down on pit road. We have Darren Marsh on pit road, and Eski Loma, he's not even got a back up to his car at all, really. You can see the engine and everything coming out of that. But having a look out front, it is still the Korean leading the way. Balao is 8 seconds further back, with Brunin in third in the 05 car. These top 3 drivers putting away just a little bit, but all the way down through the field, trouble everywhere. And Marius, we're going to have to take a while to sort this one out.
Yeah, several drivers out of the race already. Just taking a look at pit road. Darren Marsh in the pits, Alexia Loma in the pits, Ilka Harpala in the pits. Gregor Hutu has his car severely damaged, still running in his 18th position here. Very hard to say when he went in that without damage, but the winners of the start definitely Rico Lautalo and Teemu Ivonen. Both came from about 15th position, and both are currently in the top 10, also benefiting from the start crash. However, your race leader still is Jonas Nukarinen, and that just proves my point.
It does. Vanessa de Pana looking as though he's out of the race. Daniel Lopez out of the race. Jesse Niederman out of the race. Darren Marsh on pit road trying to get some repairs to his race car. Aloma out of the race. Cameron Jr. out of the race. Jason Lover is trying to get some repairs, but he might be out of the race as well. Ika Hapara is back onto the racetrack, but is scored down in the 27th position.
Sorry to interrupt there, Will. Roderick Croon's gone right around the outside of turn 1 here, round your Jens. Oh, and that is absolutely beautiful. Round the outside, just no hesitation there. No one be on the dirty side of the racetrack coming out of turn 1. Just had all that momentum shifting, kept the car in a straight line, and made just a textbook pass there. Absolutely beautiful by Roderick Kroon, and he now moves up into P3 and tries to set his sights on Istvan Balog.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful start. You see that Jens looked down to the inside, and then he had to brake. He had on the outside line, he saw Cronin able to get the position there. Beautiful defensive driving on the outside line, managing to take what is now 3rd position on the racetrack, and Cronin now trying to get it down to the rear of Istvan Balog, who in turn is keeping right with the Korean in the battle for the 1st position. So you've got Cronin, Balog and Korean within 1 second of each other on the racetrack. Having a look at Pano Lanioto actually in the 25 car. He started this race in the 6th position, is currently running in the 6th position, but he looks as though he is catching 5th spot at the moment and putting away from Anthony Rosselli in 7th.
Yeah, and more mayhem straight ahead. Paul Ilbrink versus David Williams this time, and now they are approaching 130. David Williams made up some positions by that. Dion Verges meanwhile down to, I think it is 13th position. David Williams of course made up some positions, and it looks like Rico Latolo has some damage, so Rico must have been off there. Just rewinding that, and it looks like he's rear-ended what I think is Anthony Rosselli, and onto that Teemu Ivonen rear-ended him. So that is exactly what we said in the first race. Being on the brake and being close to your enemies is getting a bit hard to really cope with. So it just proves that bit late reaction by Teemu Ivonen there. He ran in the rear of Rico Latolo, and looks like left rear, especially from Rico Latolo, seems damaged.
Yeah, and it looks like Alatalo is going to have a difficult time trying to make his way through the field now. He had one of those drivers who had a great start. He's now sat in the 9th position after starting this race in the 15th spot. Checking in, however, on Gregor Hutu, and he is down in the 18th position at the moment. Whilst all
Oh,
that thing
contact!
up,
Sorry to interrupt you. Carnage as Pablo Lopez once again being involved in that one. He's come out unscathed, but the one man who hasn't is David Williams. They've both got in a tangle. Williams scampers across the travel, gets back on track now. The absolute carnage again. Lopez involved in that one. I'm not too sure who was to blame, but a massive miss. I'll quickly take a look. I think it was, yeah, Lopez gave a bit nudge, missed time the break-in, and nothing Williams could do there. It was not a fault at all, and the skips across the grass keeps it out the wall, but I wonder if there's any lasting damage to Williams' car.
indeed, and also there's only damage to Lopez's car. So he got a very big hit there to Daniel Williams. And Lopez, he was trying to work straight through the field after a disastrous first race. Looking as though this one is not going to go his way either, dropping back through the field now. And Lopez, I'm sure the race control will have a look at that incident, perhaps during the race here. But this battle with, it's got Paul Ilbrandt, Neil Burgess, Klaus Enenbrandt, Troy Schultz, and Pablo Lopez involved in it at the moment. They are battling for 13th position through 16th on the racetrack, and it is all going on. Every time I try and say something else happens.
Oh, and Istvan Balog's as well off. I believe Istvan Balog, yes, it is out of the last turn. He's just put the car onto the grass, and he's hit Jörn Jens there. So a little bit of damage for Jörn Jens. The car isn't pointing straight anymore. Now Jörn Jens is holding up Unileinen, Roselli, and in fact Krönke. Krönke already up to 6th position here.
Yeah, and with Ballout, it looks as though it was down into the casino triangle, caught the curve a little bit too much, then caught a white line, and then just as he tried feeding that car back into the right direction, just tapped Jörn Jens. Jörn Jens looking as though he should be able to continue, but Ballout has had a disastrous moment there, and after riding in second position in this race, is going to have to give that up to Roderick Cronin in the 05 car, who is now hunting down Eunice Nikurian in the battle for the first position, and he has been active to drop off the green flag here to start this race. Nikurian is still your race leader, and Cronin in second. Jörn Jens is down the field, so he's had a moment as well, because he's now fallen back behind Laniotto, Kroenke and Roselli. I tell you what, Kroenke has a chance not only getting to the top 5, but perhaps getting a podium position here, as he's right on the attack of Roselli as they're coming out of the spoon curve.
Yeah, and he's had a great start. Sorry, Liam, he's had a great start, and I've just been taking a look at the lap times in this bit of traffic. So he's been in traffic for the entire race. He's doing 46.0, and that just proves that his car seems to be more or less fine, as Gregor Hutu, who's also running in a bit of traffic, he's running 47.2, and that just shows how damaged the car of Gregor Hutu is.
Yeah, let's go into that final chicane. Sorry, Will, it's a massive pile up there, as you can see. As Paul Lebring and Timo leaving once again, running at his nose, and he's had a great start, hasn't he, once again, back in that top 10. As he's locked in a battle right now, though, with Paul Lebring and the man in front, Riku Alatalo. These guys in a massive training, of course, just behind the one, being led by Lino Latalo. And then you've got Martin Kroenke, and right now Roselli's still side by side, and he's actually lost the position. Kroenke's done a mirror of what we saw a few laps ago, round the outside of turn 1. He's made it stick, and up into 3rd place goes, 4th place, I beg your pardon, goes Martin Kroenke. Sets his sights on United, who currently holds P3. What you said about Martin Kroenke trying to get a podium, this is definitely doable now. Still with 20 minutes to go. He's not really that far away from the leader. He's 5 seconds away from the car in at the moment. Is there a possibility of a win on the cards here?
Kroenke could do it, but he has to push like crazy, and he's got to get past these drivers as quickly as possible. And we saw that at Silverstone, though, passing can be difficult. Even if you've got a car that's half a second faster, you've really got to set up your pass and make it work. But Kroenke's done a brilliant pass from the outside, and we've seen Kroenke come through the field here today. He could be a driver who we expect to really challenge for perhaps now the race victory. We've got a battle for the race lead, and this is Roderick Cronin very now close to the rear of Nikurian as they're coming down into the 130R underneath the Dunlop Bridge. Now as they come into the 130R, they'll sweep it to the left. Cronin is close, but he's going to have to make the move of his life. He's going to make it work down into the casino triangle. He's looking to the outside. Don't do it here. He's going to do it here. He's not going to turn it. That's the best pass I think I have ever seen on the outside into the casino triangle. Roderick Cronin takes the race lead.
Absolutely massive pass by Roderick there. He's just later on the brakes, so simple as that, and Jonas just too passive there, too early on the brakes, and just like that, Roderick Cronin flies past, as does Martin Krönke on the finish straight, taking the 3rd spot right now and being right behind these guys now. But what a pass!
I don't think I've seen a pass that good in a very long time. Roger Cronin there, one of the ballsiest maneuvers I think I've ever seen on the outside down into Casino Triangle to take the race lead. But look who's coming. It is Martin Kroenke in the 27 car, who is, 3.5 seconds behind the race lead. He's closed that gap by 2 seconds in the past 3 laps or so. So Martin Kroenke now, he's got the clear track ahead of him. This will give him the opportunity in the next couple of laps to close that gap down even more. Could Kroenke catch up to the rear of the Korean and Cronin? Could he go for the race lead now?
Well, it's definitely possible. Why not? He's got so much to gain now. Not really too much to lose. He's just really going to put that foot down. He knows he's in such a good position because of Jesse Niemannen's despise earlier on. Why not go for it? You've still got 17 minutes left to go if you want to try and make something. He's only a few seconds down the road as well, but right now first, so he's really going to try and catch up to New Carlin. Let's see what he can do. I wouldn't write this one off at all.
And I have to say, drivers, everyone who's been watching saying that that was a beautiful pass from Ryan Legg, saying, what a pass, round the outside, hashtag Eminem. I think that sums it up. Just completely and utterly sums that up. But it's Kroenke's closed that gap. You can see how much he's closed that gap in just 1 lap. They'll come past the line. We'll get a look at their lap times as the Koreans spin. And Kroenke's up into the second position. The Koreans bins there down at the Casino Triangle. So this race has gone from crazy to utter delirious there as it's down in the Casino Triangle. Just caught the curve on the second part of the apex a little bit there. Kroenke up into the second position, and it is now mano a mano. Kroenke versus Cronin. Last time by, Kroenke 1 minute 45.602. Cronin a 1 minute 46.6. Kroenke is coming, and he's coming fast.
I'm really getting confused here. So much happening on track here. We've once again got a big battle going on for what is 6th and 8th position. Riku Alatalo with the bit of a damaged car here, followed by Paul Ilbring. Timo Ivonen, who ran into the rear of Alatalo, also got a bit of a damage. And all the guys behind him, Jonas Nukarin following Timo Ivonen. All these guys just battling for one position. It's virtually the same as in the first race, but it's just heating up so much. So much aggression going on right now, and I just hope the guys keep it clean right now.
Oh, and look at this, Lena Lowe to interrupt round the outside here of Rosselli. Couldn't make it stick. There's no traction round there, to be brutally honest. He's really going to try and find something more. But again, you didn't see any sort of passing maneuver like that in race 1. A lot of the drivers were conservative. They're going around in these massive trains, trying to wait for the opportunity to come to them. And as I said, you can almost feel the desperation in the air here in race 2. They know what's at stake. They can sense some of the big names have dropped out today, and they want to capitalise. Pablo Lopez is not here anymore. You've got Jesse Niemannen not here anymore. Jason Lovett out of the race. They sense they can get some big points over their rivals today, and what better place to do it? We sense Suzuka can throw up some good racing, but this has exceeded all expectations right now as Rosselli is really on the defensive against Lin Alautu, and just in front of him, Hunainen as well. So a three-way battle here for the final podium position. This is going to get heated, but look at the gap now as they come across the start-finish line. A 1:45.030 for Martin Kroenke and a 1:46.2 for Roderick Cronin. This is absolutely stupendous. He's wheeling him in like a fisherman, and Martin Kroenke has got his eyes set on the prize right now, and it's going to be absolutely amazing to see if he can just crawl up to the back of him and make a move, because right now Roderick Cronin, if he wants to win this race, has got to give the defensive drive of a lifetime.
Yeah, and Cronin, can he actually do anything being a second and a bit a lap slower? Kroenke actually going onto the grass a little bit there, through the Dunlop curb on the inside, almost spinning. He saw that car wibble just a little bit, but he can now see Roderick Cronin as they're coming down into the hairpin. And I tell you what, Cronin can just see in his mirror that car getting closer and closer and closer to him.
And Alatalo and Ilbring going too wide through Degner here. Timo Ivonen trying to profit from that. Ilbring late on the brakes once again. The guys are just millimeters apart out of the hairpin. Now Paul Ilbring with the better line. Rico Alatalo, of course, having his car damaged, being slow on the straight, and it's just such a close gap to Timo Ivonen right behind. I'm just surprised that they didn't touch again once in the hairpin. So now approaching the spoon curves here, and Paul Ilbring is just trying to make the pass, and he's going sideways, almost being hit by Timo Ivonen, and it is time! He slams on the brakes, trying to save the car. Of course, Timo could not avoid that, and Troy Schultz is right behind him, and he can't find a way past.
and he tried to bump off him there down the back straightaway. No idea what Troy Schultz is doing. Now he's not going to be able to get the job done into the 130R. But he's driving with damaged race car. Is Paul Ilbrink. How's he going to handle as he comes down into the casino triangle? He manages to make it work.
Oh, and contact everywhere. Istvan Balog now slams into Jonas Nukarin there. Nukarin spins out of the final turn. And in that battle, David Williams and Gregor Hutu managed to get past unhurt. And there's just debris everywhere.
There's debris everywhere. If you have a look at Timo Evening's car, he hasn't actually got any front aerodynamic grip at all. So these cars are really working it, and we still got 13 minutes left of this race to go, and it has got to be Kroenke. I believe Kroenke is going to get himself off into the race lead there.
Yeah, we've completely missed that. He's in the lead, he's overtaken Kroenen. Still Kroenen being a little bit slower than Martin, probably tries to settle for second place. A big set of points towards the championship here, but Kroenke trying to take the race lead here, and he's taken it, and now he's only on himself trying to take this race home.
Yeah, and it was down into turn number 1. He managed to make the pass nice and easy down the inside as they came into turn 1. Kroenen decided not to fight him too hard. He knew that was going to be a lost cause. Allows Kroenke to take that race lead. Kroenen in the second position, but he still got himself a 5-second gap over third position. And Kroenke now coming up towards some lap traffic. This is Esther Hayton as they coming down the back straightaway. Hayton a little bit off the pace there. He's got some damage in front of his car. And Kroenen, in fact, is going to breeze past him as well before they come down into the 130R. All the way, we've got battles on this racetrack. And I tell you what, Anatalo and Dion Verge is very close on the racetrack. Paul Ilbrink has still got Timo Evening close behind. Evening's going to have to try and drive that car home, however, because he has got some damage to his race car. Troy Schultz and Klaus Ennebrand still battling on the racetrack as well. But Gregor Hutu starting
a mistake from Roderick Kroenen. I'm sorry, a mistake from Roderick Kroenen, and he's lost the second position. No, he's not lost it. He's a Heat-Allen being a lapped car, but he has lost some severe time there. 1 minute 50 only. 4 seconds in one row, and he's spinning out of the final turn. And I wasn't really sure what he's doing. Was he planning on doing a pit stop? He's almost slammed into the pit barriers there. So Risto Unilainen benefited by about 4 seconds right there. Now trying to get past Isa Heat-Allen. And guys, we just have to make up so much ground.
Yeah, there's so much going on. We could probably do about a 4-hour post-race show with everything that's going on here on the racetrack. But Alatalo is out of the race. So it all carries on. Alatalo is now out of the race, trying to figure out what exactly happened to him. But the number 4 car is now classified as out of this race. I'm just having a look to see what happened. It was down the back straightaway. Just, I don't know, I think the engine, something happened.
Looks like a disconnect. It really looks like a disconnect. Riku's been talking about his unstable connection. Of course, Riku been racing from Singapore. One of the drivers being far away here, and it just looks like his connection is leaving him here. So very unfortunate for Riku. He's been running in the top 5 so far. So even with a damaged car, good performance by him, and so with this connection, it's really unlucky for Riku.
Indeed, and you know, he's one of those drivers who had a great start to this race. We were expecting him to at least get a top 10 finish here today. But, you know, having a look at Klaus Ennebrand and Gregor Hutu, they are battling for position on the racetrack. Gregor Hutu is having himself a drive to try and now get him up some more positions. He's got Ennebrand ahead. This is about for 9th position, but ahead of him, he's got Troy Schultz. He's trying to work his way now around Esther Hayton in that lapped car. But Paul Ilbrink as well. These are all going to come back together once again, because Schultz is catching Ilbrink. Ennebrand is right up towards the rear of Schultz, and Gregor Hutu is right there as well. Hutu could end up in the top 5 if he manages to play
Roselli, Roselli is past Unilainen for 3rd position, and it looks like Unilainen is really getting a bit of a trouble there. So 3rd position Anthony Roselli right now, and also Tapani Linalvoto seems to have caught up relatively quickly. Then it's a bit of gap to the rear, but definitely these guys are going to settle for the 3rd position. Roderick Kroenen seems to be safe for now. Martin Kroenke running the fastest laps of the race here at the top. Roderick Kroenen in your 2nd place, and then it's a big battle going on for 3rd place.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Sally got past there, and once again he falls back down into the 4th position. Ranayoto was trying to make the move as well, and wasn't able to do it coming down into the dangers. But as they look down into the hairpin now, will he try and outbrake him? He's not going to be close enough as they come down into the hairpin.
He's got a cutback though. He's a little bit of momentum. He just lost him. He just kept it straight there. He would have had a little bit of a cutback. But there are fights going on all over the field. It's absolutely incredible to witness right now. Troy Schultz is still trying to pull away from Ellenbrand and Gregor Hutu. Now Gregor, as you said, could be on course for a top 5 here. Currently sits in P10. But we know Gregor is just one of those guys where he doesn't have to make a move to, or show his car on a presence to have that kind of intimidation factor. All he's going to do is keep his car parked behind you, and that alone can force a few mistakes. And as we've seen earlier, mistakes around Suzuka are very punishing indeed. So let's see what Gregor can do from here though. David Williams again not too far away, and if Gregor does get held up, because he's doing 147s right now, which is very uncharacteristic of the iRacing Grand Prix Series World Champion. So David Williams, oh, he's gone off! Williams is off, he's in the gravel! How has he saved that? How has he kept that on track? The car was completely sideways in gravel, and somehow through 130R just straightens it back up as if nothing happened. Carries on, he's lost a lot of time, but wow, that was just absolutely incredible to witness.
Indeed,
Yeah, meanwhile, off cameras, we've missed the battle for third position. Risto Unilainen still defending his third position against Anthony Roselli. Stefano Linalauto still in fifth position. And in the last lap alone, guys, they've been losing 3 seconds to Dion Burgess in sixth.
Indeed, yeah, and I'm having a look, and Williams' car is struggling. He really must have overworked those tyres as he tried to save that car out of the 130R. But Hutu, he's really struggling there in the 23 car. He's not being able to get past Klaus Ennerbahn. He's been stuck there for what, 4 or 5 laps now? Hutu really has got to get a move on if he's going to try and make up any more positions. It is still Kroenke, your race leader. The gap is now 8 seconds over Roderick Cronin in second. Risto is in the third position for the 28 car. He is 5 seconds back from Cronin, with Roselli in fourth and Lanaiotto rounding out your top 5. Lanaiotto getting a good drive out the hairpin once again, as Roselli getting a little bit squirty, wasn't able to do anything with it though. So Lanaiotto is got a very good drive, but not being able to take advantage of it.
No, and I think that's going to cost him as well, especially if we've only got 6 minutes to go. I was going to say the desperation factor is already there, but I think it's going to only increase because Gregor Hutu, as we said, has got past now. Of course, the man just behind him is Klaus Ellenbrand. He wants to try and get that back, whilst Hutu is being a little bit held up still by Troy Schultz as they pull in to the 130R for another time. Not too many laps to go now, of course. So it's really going to be do or die now. Gregor is so close, he can almost smell that top 5. There's a few cars in his way, one of them being Paul LeBrink, who's finally got a little bit of breathing space now. The next car in front of him is Hutton in P21, but of course following on from that, he's a little bit further away there, Dion Verges and Linalto is P5 at the moment. And then you've got that battle with Roselli and Hunelainen, but I wonder if all of these guys catch up to each other and we see another traumatic series of events like we did in race 1. If these guys do get in a bit of a tangle and 2 or 3 of them drop off, we're going to see Gregor Hutu easily in that top 5 and taking a huge chunk of points in that race towards the championship.
Indeed, yeah, and I think he's driving with his head at the moment. He knows that Nieminen is down in 32nd position, going to score next to 0 points in this race. All those drivers around him, not drivers really fighting for the championship at the moment. He can afford to kind of stay where he is in the 9th position. He has been able to get past Klaus Ennerbahn, so he's up now into 9th. He's got Troy Schultz ahead of him in 8th position, but Hutu is driving with his head, and that's what he needs to do. You talk about consistency. First of all, you've got to finish races, then you've got to finish in the top 10, and then just pick up whatever points you can, and Hutu's doing that once again here.
Indeed, he's just vintage Gregor Hutu, if you will. He's such an expert of this, and this is why he's a world champion, of course. He's done it at the very top level of iRacing, and now he's taken his talents to another division. You see, just flicking through the field, though, Gregor Hutu is going to be the one man, I think, to really shake up this final few minutes right now. He's really applying the pressure, but to be fair to Troy Schultz, he's not budging at all, is he? He's definitely keeping that car firmly planted on the tarmac, and Gregor just doesn't have to find a move. He's just right now sticking there and slowly gaining on him. I mean, Troy will be a bit sick at livery, I'm sure, by the end of this race, but he's got to focus on Paul LeBrink because they are gaining on him. And if you focus as a driver on catching a car in front of you as opposed to defending from a car behind, and your driving style does improve, because when you go defensive, you tend to go offline to make sure that you don't get past, and by doing that, that's when the mistakes come. So for all Troy now has to do is try and get some motivation and focus on the back of Paul LeBrink instead of worrying about what Gregor's got planned up his sleeve, because Ellenbrand, I'm sure he's keeping Gregor firm company right now.
Yeah, and Anthony Roselli, meanwhile, is back in 3rd position. Not only Dion Verges has caught up, but also the train, together with Paul Ilbrink, Troy Schultz and Gregor Hutu, is going to catch up relatively soon. Roselli running low downforce here, easy to pass Risto Unilainen on the finish straight. And Linalotto versus Vergis here, down the S's into Degner, almost too wide here the entire time. Dion Vergis just backing out of that, but if they continue like that, running 48s, running 49s here, Paul Ilbrink with a nearly undamaged car, and also Troy Schultz with no damage, they'll be at that in no time. And we've seen how good 10-car battles can work here, and I'm far from saying this third place battle has been decided yet.
Indeed, yeah, we've got ourselves about 4 minutes left to go in this race. 4 minutes left to go, and you know that's going to equate to about 3 laps on the racetrack, because Martin Kroenke at the moment is working his way down to the 1 minute with 130R. So we're going to have perhaps 3 more laps left to go at the line here, and Kroenke is really dominating. But that battle, you know, it's all going to come back together. And you talk about drivers having to keep their nose clean. Perhaps some of these drivers realise they can pick up some big points here. Other drivers just want to go for glory. Which one do you do? How much room do you give to other drivers if they're going to make a big move late on in this race? You've got yourself, what, Rosselli? Yeah, you've got 4 cars in one pack. You've got another 4 cars in the other pack. And it's all coming back together. We're going to set ourselves up for 2 laps of just pure and utter craziness.
Oh, it's just going to be absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think, as you said, Marius said that this battle hasn't even begun to finish. This battle hasn't even started. As you can see, that looming threat in the background now, which is Paul Brink, and he's bringing the cavalry of Troy Schultz, Gregor Hutu, Klaus Ellenbrand, and David Williams now, who's again latched back onto this one. So as you said, we've seen a 10-car battle work in race 1, and look how different race 1 was compared to race 2. They were so conservative, just trying to secure that position. Race 2, the final couple of minutes, I think it's all going to change. You can see now Linaldo just there, so Vergis capitalising on an opportunistic manoeuvre, getting the job done, moves up a position, sets his sights now on Hunalainen, who's got his full-on hands full right now with Anthony Rosselli, and Rosselli's got to be set on a good job round the outside, and that was going to run out of room there, unlucky there, but very good job. You can see how hard he's pushing, trying to use all the tarmac and a little bit more, but of course the one place you don't want to lose a little bit of tarmac, which will result in a penalty, is the corner they're coming up to now. In a very short couple of moments will be the 130R. You will pick up a penalty if you do use the outside tarmac to gain an advantage, and with a pack of maybe 6 or 7 cars all fighting for a podium position, it may tempt fate, and a couple of drivers may accidentally venture offline just due to being, you know, 2 or maybe even 3 wide through there. So I think that's going to definitely be a factor, but Paul Brink right now is reading them in. Last time round, a 147.132, a 147.3 for Linaldo as they go in towards that final triangle chicane one more time, and it's still got a thing at front though. The leader, Martin Kroenke, I haven't spoken about him, and well, very rightly so, he's been slipping away in the distance. 14.893 seconds clear of Roderick Cronin at the moment. You can see now they all pull out, and very sensibly so. Linaldo's coming under big pressure. Does look in the middle. Does he not? Vergis loses a position to Hunalainen. A fantastic manoeuvre there through turn 1. But Linaldo not going to let him get away though. He's going to try and come back on Vergis and gain something out of this one. Vergis stuck in a bit of a sandwich once again. But while this is transpiring though, just look how close Paul Brink's getting now. As there's a car off track there, but will he get there in time?
Yeah, and finally Liam has stopped speaking, and you can probably rate how much is going on this track. And guys, while Liam was reminiscing there, I've been taking a look at the results sheet, and so far we have 17 retirees from the race, and that's nearly half the grid. And I think in the first race, what do we have? 2, 3, and there was nearly an incident, and this has been complete mayhem.
Yeah, complete mayhem indeed, and we've still got ourselves one more lap through it all to try and sort itself out. That battle from 4th all the way down essentially to 10th position, that is still going to be decided. I tell you what, Gregor Hutu, he is sat in the 9th position. He's got himself a little bit down to the right, so to the left rear of his car that we haven't talked about, but he's okay for the time being. And we say these drivers got 1 lap left to go. And sorry, I take that back. Martin Kroenke actually doesn't beat the clock. He's going to come past the start-finish line. He's going to win the 6th round of the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. So these cars now, they thought they were going to have an extra lap to do it. They're not going to have the chance to do it. Cronin is going to take 2nd position. We're going to keep an eye on this battle. They're all streaming down as you can see the driver for the final time. Linaldo always spins it as they come to the apex.
He'll bring out the outside.
He's got the inside line for
No.
the final corner. It's a drag race. Who's going to get the push? Linaldo just hold
Troy Schultz trying to get Elbrink. Will he get him? Will he get him? Yes, I think he has. Yes, Troy Schultz takes 7th position by 4 thousandths of a second.
Wow,
What a race!
Speechless.
I've got no idea what is going on, guys. Honestly.
David Williams in the wall. David Williams hasn't made it to the finish, I don't think.
Yes, he has.
He did. That was the wrong one. I'm sorry.
So,
This
okay,
is
you
all
guys
right,
take a
guys.
breather.
Enough of
Cool,
that.
I'm
Breathe.
You guys take a breather. I will run through the final race results. And Kroenke takes victory, surprisingly enough. But he comes home, and with a 16-second gap over Roderick Cronin, takes victory. Anthony Rosselli comes home in the 3rd position, with Risto in 4th. Dion Burgess in 5th. Tapano Laniota in 6th. Troy Schultz in 7th. Paul Ilbrank in 8th. Gregor Hutu in 9th. Klaus Ellenbrand in the 10th position. David Williams comes home in 11th spot, with Henry Backman in 12th. Isvan Balau in the 13th position. Stefan Schmidt 14th. Pasi Viitanen in the 15th spot. Jorn Jensen 16th. Conrad Hooten in 17th. Philip Stan in 8th. I take that all back. It's all changing. But Conrad Hooten in 17th position. Alatalo looks as though he's going to be classified in the 18th position. Philip Stamp in 19th. Rob Cost rounding out your 20th spot. And the rest of the results coming up on your screen. And guys, wow. Talk about it a bit more.
Yes, nothing to really talk about. The race has been so intense. We've had so much battles literally everywhere. And in the end, Martin was able to take the victory with almost 17 seconds here, starting from what I think was 18th position here. So great markup of positions for Martin here. A great race, however, also for 3rd position's Anthony Rosselli. He's been able to maintain the position against Risto Uniline and Dion Burgess and Tapani Linoloto. And lucky star of the day, Troy Schultz, taking 7th position with just 0.04 of a second in front of Ilbrank.
Yeah, and indeed, let's talk to our race winner, Martin Kroenke. Good to know, Martin, but congratulations, race victory, and you had to work for it, though. But dominant, great result.
Yeah, thanks.
So take us through your race. I mean, you started, say, down in the field. You had to avoid all that craziness down into turn 1. Just trying to think back, and you overtook essentially 17 cars to get to the front. But a lot of it was helped around all the craziness around you down into turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1 was quite a mess, actually. The start itself was pretty good for everyone, I guess. No one who was really much slower on the way down to turn 1, but turn 1, I think 2 cars in front of me made contact. I think it was one 3ID car and some other car I didn't recognize. And from that on, it was a bit of work to overtake everyone, but since we ran low downs, it was comparatively easy, except for overtaking Anthony Rosselli, who was probably also low down first.
And you finally managed to take the lead with Roderick Cronin there, but you had to work your way through the field. And while other drivers, were struggling to work their way through traffic, you'd made some big moves on the outside, down to the inside, big braking manoeuvres. But, I mean, did you do anything differently to that car in the second race to set it up better to work its way through traffic compared to race 1?
No, exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. That final pass to get yourself around Roderick Cronin, it always looks like he made it a bit easy for you down into turn 1. But once your way pulled out to a huge lead, and I mean, great result. And I can't really say much, but as it's always fair, when a Finnish driver wins, then you only get to speak to them in Finnish. So, Marius, off you go.
What? Yeah, so I should speak in German, is that right?
Ja.
You're not gonna get angry?
Nein.
Okay, perfekt. Ja, Martin, schönes Rennen auf jeden Fall. Von 18 gestartet auf Platz 1. Besser hätte es ja nicht laufen können.
Ja, danke.
Ja, jetzt hat es ja gerade Angst, ins Interview zu kommen. Jetzt reden wir nicht mehr Englisch, jetzt können wir auch Deutsch reden.
Ja, ist okay.
Alles klar. Ja, schön gefahren. Glückwunsch also an alle deutschen Zuschauer. Ja, wir können auch Deutsch, so ist es nicht. Und damit wieder zurück zu Will.
Thank you. I just thought he was talking what
Good, you got that.
Well.
Perfect.
So Martin Kroenke takes home victory in the second of tonight's heat. A dominant performance by him, essentially driving his way through the field. Next up, we believe we've got ourselves a couple of other drivers to speak to, but I've got so much going on in my ears, I have no idea. But we've got Alessi Loma. He had a bit of a difficult race involved in those incidents down on the first lap in Loma. Difficult day for you here today.
Yeah, I didn't practice too much and I was slow in the first race. It just didn't have pace, and the second race I did a good launch, but had to back off a little bit because there was no way to go. And then we went to the first one. Some ready guy was passing Chris Dem Jr. on the inside. So I tried to go to him gap, but so when I think Darren Maras went to outside of him and he came inside and some lag contact, camera exploding and so on, and we had a first contact in the first right-hander, and then on the second he like, I don't know if he got damage or not. He slowed down quite a bit, like, and he was on the outside line, and then he came inside, and that caused the big mess into turn 1, and my car was shit after that, and it had too much damage.
And alone me listening too much to Kimi Räikkönen, of course. But moving on to next week, of course, you know, difficult race here today. However, next week we go to Sebring. Different track, you know, we've had some very rolling tracks. It's going to be a lot different. You hoping Sebring goes better for you?
Of course. Why I wouldn't.
You can tell this guy is Finnish.
I'm not commenting on that one, but I'm going to say a difficult day for him. Another driver who's had a very difficult day, Mr. GoPro Pablo Lopez. Just seems as though race number 1 can't go your way.
Yeah, well, I had 2 hits from behind, one from Darren and another for my teammate Jeremy. My car doesn't have the straight line speed as I want, so I had to defend all the way. And then in the second to last lap, in 130R, I had a crash with Danny. I think it was a racing incident, but well, it made me to start from 22 on the second one. This start was a bit messy. In turn 1, I was 3 wide with 3 ID guys, and then I had to avoid the crash and go to the grass, but I was okay with no damage. And then when I was following the 3 ID guys with loud on force, I couldn't avoid David because he braked early, and because the cars in front were battling, and I couldn't avoid. I didn't notice that, and I crashed. And after I received the black flag, I retired. But it was good.
It was good, and we're going to look forward to your Pablo Lopez highlights, of course, powered by GoPro. But when are you going to get over these first race moments? I mean, Sebring, is it going to work for you? Are you going to get a good, solid first race there?
We don't know. We never know. This race we hadn't quite the good setup, and we did some last moment change that worked, but don't know to Sebring. It's a good track for this car, I think.
Well, we will see you next week at Sebring, and hopefully your first race will go to plan, at least. That was Pablo Lopez there, and of course, don't forget you can see his race highlights, which we'll provide to you on GlacierTV.com. Finally, Roger Cronin, second position. Roger Cronin, you did perhaps the best maneuver I've ever seen on the outside of the Casino Triangle, ever. So congratulations for that one. Come home in the second position.
Yeah, thanks very much. I was pretty happy with that move, even though he crashed after that, but of course it doesn't matter. It was a good move and put me in the lead. But then I saw Martin coming closer in the mirror very quickly, and I was like a sitting duck on the straight, so no way to defend. And after that I had a very scary moment, almost hitting the pit entry. But besides that, it was just bringing it to the finish, hoping that AJ would get the third spot to make it a radical podium.
And when you consider, I mean, you know, it was a great second race for you. But just how, was there anything you could have done when you saw Conke coming up behind you?
No, I could have like pushed him a bit to the right, but he had so much more speed on the straight that he was already ahead of me before the first turn, and I could brake later with my setup, but that would just be delaying it, and yeah, having if you do that, you have more oh, she said, yeah, there's bigger chances of having a crash and not finishing at all. So I rather take the second spot.
And I mean, you were sat in the top 10 coming into this race in points, sat in the 7th position. Coming out of this race, I'm sure you move up a couple of positions. But going to Sebring next week, I know you've driven it many times before in the GT cars, but in this LMP2 car, you gonna have a good drive?
Well, I drove it more in the LMP than GT actually. I drove the Sebring, what is it, 2.4 hours earlier this year, and I came third in yeah, the main, I should say that American race, and I came second in the Australian race. So yeah, I'm quite confident that I will do well there.
Well, good luck to you at Sebring, and unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. We'll recap a little bit more on Ice Lounge this week, but wow, yes, the second race has just been absolutely crazy, continuing the crazy second races we've had here in the ProtoICE $1,000 Cup. We'll be back next week at Sebring, same time, same place, for 2 more races of unadulterated drama, screaming, and everything else in between. Don't forget, of course, that the Classic Grand Prix Championship Series in the Lotus 79s will be on air from 4:30 p.m. GMT. The 16th Street Racing League will be heading to Sebring in a change of schedule next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then next Saturday, of course, the 3rd round of the iRacing Grand Prix Pro Series of Road Racing will be kicking off at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course of the road to the 2013 iRacing.com Grand Prix World Championship Series. Will be heading to the legendary Brickyard for 73 laps and will be on air from about 1:30 p.m. GMT. From myself, from Liam, from Marius, and everyone here at GlacierTV, and of course Shoney, we have to say thank you to because he does so much hard work. Good night.